If you had to pick the 7 most important things you have to do to make sales successful, what would they be? Well, luckily for you, you don't have to pick, because I'm going to tell you what they are. Welcome to episode 24 of the Cheeky Sales Coach, the 7 channels of sales success. Channel number 1, you got to build your list. Build your list, build your list, build your list. No matter what people want to sell, no matter how they want to sell it, the single most important thing you have to do is build a list. You have to have somebody to sell to, somebody that you can actively sell to. This also means that you're going to build a list that's great for marketing, which is cool. We're going to talk about marketing someday, but today we're talking about sales. Sales begins with somebody who's going to be the buyer someday, and that's your list. No matter where people are in their process, when they come to me and say, what's the most important thing I should do next? I ask, do you have a list? How big is your list? If you have 5 people on your list, great. You can double that and double that and double that until you have 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 or 1,000,000. But you got to start with where you are. Some people have an email list, but they don't have postal addresses. That's cool. Start with what you have. No matter where you are, there's just a handful of things that you do to build a list. A, start with where you are. B, figure out how to grow that list. You can grow it by making offers. You can buy Google ads, Facebook ads. There's lots of list building strategies out there. You can buy a list. You can exchange the list for speaking to an audience. You can hand out a sheet at some presentation and say, hey, if you want to get on my mailing list, give me your name and address. You have to decide what's in your list. You may want only postal addresses. You may want only email addresses. Get as much information as you can and constantly build your list. You can build your list with constant requests for information. Put it up on your website. Hey, join my mailing list. You can do it in waves. You can have campaigns. You can do all kinds of stuff. But no matter what you do, as you cycle through the 7 channels of sales success, you always have to take a minute and spend time on number 1, build your list. The second sales channel you have to worry about is building your funnels. You need sales funnels and you need marketing funnels, and marketing funnels lead to sales funnels. And the sales funnels actually are what gets you hot prospects. Start with the cold prospects, feed them into your sales funnel, turn them into hot prospects. Do it, do it, do it. Now, there is a difference between the list and the sales funnel. The sales funnel comes into existence when you start a campaign that says, hey, you, come here and buy this. Remember, sales happens when you ask people for their money. So you can have a list that you use for newsletters, outgoing content, getting people to know who you are, getting them to know you, like you, trust you, all of that. That's all marketing. It becomes sales when you have a funnel and you ask people for their money. That's what you need to do. Building sales funnels should be a constant low level of activity. So this is not something that you have to spend 5 hours a day on unless you have a really huge organization. Most of the people following this series need to spend a little time every week building their sales funnels, making sure that those things are always out there so that little bitty drips come out and you've got your drip marketing. And eventually some of those people make appointments, some of them ask for proposals, some of them give you their money. The third sales channel is responding to inquiries. Now remember, episode 13, we talked about timing. If you get an inquiry, you cannot sit on it, you cannot wait. You must immediately stop what you're doing and go respond to that inquiry. Give people what they want. If people ask for a free sample, send them a free sample. If they ask for a meeting, set up a meeting. Timing, timing, timing. Remember how you act when you're looking for something. You start calling around, the first person who answers the phone might just get your business. You start talking to people and you say, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? One person will give you a promise that they'll never fulfill. One person will say, hey, I'll get you something as soon as I can, and you don't hear from them for a week. One person will give you lots of information, have a quick turnaround, and then they will come back to you and say, hey, did you have a chance to look at that? Even before you got information from the second person, and you don't know that you're never going to get anything from the first person. So the person who responds quickly has a much bigger advantage in actually making a sale. The reason I say you have to make it a high priority is that you should always work from highest to lowest priority. And a sales inquiry should automatically bump up to the high priority status. It should be something where you are always saying, look, almost anything I do doesn't bring new money in the door. So when something might bring new money in the door, it's got to be high priority. That means you might actually reschedule some things in your day just so that you can respond to that inquiry. Fast turnaround makes a huge amount of difference. So that has to be, again, one of those things that you're constantly ready to do. You may not get inbound requests day after day after day, but when you get them, you need to respond as quickly as possible. Sales channel number 4 is the one that most people don't like. You have to make outbound contact. In other words, you have to call people, email them, ask people to begin discussing things, begin the sales process. You have to ask them to get into the top of the funnel so that they will eventually come out the bottom and give you money. But you have to initiate that. Again, this is the one thing where people say, well, if I could pick my channels, I'd spend all my time doing number 3. Great, but you can't do that. You have to sometimes initiate contact. Doesn't mean you have to do it every day. Doesn't mean you have to do it all the time. But on some regular scheduled basis, you have to say, look, I need to go initiate some contacts. I need to go ask some people to engage in the conversation. You may be overwhelmed if you went every day for 8 hours and initiated contact because you'd have so many people in your sales funnel. But if you can't handle that, that's cool. Or if you don't want to do it, let's be honest, you still have to do it sometimes. From time to time, there are people who are ready to buy, but you just don't know that because you haven't asked. So go make a point of asking those people from time to time. The 5th channel you got to pay attention to is revising your offer. And this is something that, again, doesn't have to be done all the time. Maybe quarterly, 3 or 4 times a year, you have to update your offer. Now, you could cycle through offers. You could offer a free tune-up in the first quarter and offer a free white paper in the second quarter and offer a free diagnostic of some kind in the third quarter. Constantly changing those around is always good. You've always got to appear like you've got something new, fresh, and interesting to do. And if somebody says, oh, that offer for the free white paper comes up about once a quarter, I've been waiting for you to send that to me, you got to jump on that. Remember, when people initiate contact, you've got to be ready to go and do that. But constantly recycling your offer makes you look new and fresh and all that kind of good stuff. So that's, again, not something you have to do every day, not something you have to do every week, but maybe once a quarter. What is your offer? Is it up to spec? Is it something good? Depending on your business, you may have a totally new, fresh offer 4 times a year. That would be more work than cycling through your existing offers. But if you find something that works, add it to the list of ones that you cycle through. Sales channel number 6 is always be scheduling something. And it's kind of a macro view of this entire video. Always be cycling through something. So are you scheduling appointments? Are you scheduling a review of your offer? Are you scheduling a review of your marketing? Scheduling a review of your advertising? Scheduling appointments so that you can actually make sales? What are you scheduling? From time to time, you need to look at it and say, I should be spending a little time each week doing scheduling. If you get to Friday and you haven't scheduled something, a change in your system, a change in your offer, an appointment for a sales presentation, if you haven't scheduled something, Take some time at the end of Friday and begin the process of scheduling. Very often that can be as simple as sending out emails and saying, hey, can I get on your calendar next week? It's always good to be able to give people the opportunity to say no, because you don't want to be super high pressure. But you know what? You also have to give them the opportunity to say yes. Finally, the 7th channel of sales success is fine-tune, rinse, and repeat. Remember, in episode 6, we talked about how every single piece of your process has to be working. Sometimes things stop working, or they don't work very well, or you know that you could fine-tune it a little. And so constantly be working through every piece of your process. Update your offer, update the wording, update your website, update your phone calls, right? What's your script for your phone calls? Is it up to date? Is it a modern offer? Is it what you want to do to present your brand to your prospects? Constantly update, update, update. And that is something that, again, maybe once a week, maybe if you're lazy, once a month, but you have to always be doing something. Some piece of your process can be improved. The point of highlighting these 7 things is that if you constantly cycle through each of these 7 things, you will constantly have a tuned up process. You'll be ready for sales. You'll have a modern marketing system. You will have a way that you talk to clients that you've practiced, that you've fine-tuned. You'll be comfortable with it. You know, the worst thing that you can do, the opposite of this entire video, is ignore it for 3 months. Ignore it for 6 months. And then one day sit down and say, I really should work on sales. And then be overwhelmed and then say, this is too much work. And then don't do it and wait another 3 months and then see if suddenly it's all better. Remember, my motto for everything is, nothing happens by itself. What does that mean for you? Well, it means if you want a sales process, you have to build it. You want a good sales script, you have to write it. You want a good website, you have to constantly be fine-tuning it. You want a good offer, you need to keep working on your offer. On and on and on. Everything that you want to do, you have to constantly be fine-tuning, rinse and repeat. Make that, again, a low-level, consistent part of your day, your week, your month. Think of these 7 channels as 7 lines, and you get to take turns pushing each one forward, each one forward, each one forward a little bit until finally the entire system moves forward. I hope that helps you. I hope it's a way that you can conceptualize working on sales without making it be overwhelming and without you having to dig too deep into any one of these things. For the Cheeky Sales Coach, this is Carl Palachuk wishing you the best of luck and many, many sales this week. Call to action. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you won't miss a thing.